Alright, so today I'm going to try to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I want to talk about something while I try to solve this Rubik's Cube. I've never solved a Rubik's Cube before, so I'm going to follow a video in the tutorial, and I'm going to try to find out how to do it, and hopefully I can someday on my own. But basically, I wanted to talk about the idea that a lot of people get worried about their journey to knowing themselves and how to the self-identity and stuff like that, but it can be very confusing and feeling like you have to be somewhere at a certain age and do something at a certain age, and that's when it starts to get scary in your 20s, and even in high school when you're 15, 16, and you're trying to figure out what you want to do in life, and then you're supposed to exactly know what profession you want to go into and what you want to study when you're 18 and go to university, and then people get worried about taking a gap year. Is it really worth it? Am I wasting my time? Am I wasting my prime years? I'll go into that further, but I'm going to start to solve this a little bit as well. Okay, so I'm doing the daisy strat, where you first have to make a daisy, and then I'll figure out the rest. The pressure to know who you are at a certain age, I feel like often causes more anxiety than clarity, because you feel like you have to force yourself to find out who you are by doing things and exploring, and then you often find that you hit a moment where you're confused and then you're not there with other people, and it causes so much guilt and anxiety, and it doesn't really have to be that way. I think you should give yourself time, because I feel like a lot of things you often need more time to figure out, not just forcing it to heal. It's like you can put a bandage on something, you can disinfect it with alcohol, but it's not gonna speed run. It's gonna speed it up a little bit, but it's not gonna heal it instantly, right? It's the same way as healing. I feel like knowing who you are, you get to know it by experiences and growing up, and it's like a natural process. You can do things to speed it up, but I think often trying to rush things ends up making you so occupied with trying to find yourself, you end up losing yourself all over again. You learn more about yourself by doing things and exploring new things rather than thinking and trying to find that within yourself and like understand yourself better. I feel like you just being in the process of growing up is more, it grows you up more than just trying to like force yourself to grow up and have that mental capacity. It's too much work on your brain that it's taxing being that putting that much pressure on your life when you're still young. I make the white cross, and I feel like trying to figure yourself out in general is like forcing yourself to figure out is impossible, because what you do is you change every time. You change your habits, you change who you are, and it's you will be a different person, and that's not like, it's not bad that you change. It's evolution. It's just you grow and you change at the same time. So trying to force yourself to figure it out is like, you can't really force it. But with experiences and natural experiences, you start to build a portfolio of who you are and what you really, how you act, and what things you need to improve on. And I think that's a much healthier way than just trying to force it. Now that it's all white, we're going to focus on these side pieces. We'll figure out how it's done. And I think that it's okay to explore things, right? It's okay to try new things, because it's a part of exploration, and it's not, I don't want you to think that it's just like a waste of time, or it's like in the process of learning yourself, and you tried something new, and you now know you don't like it. It's learning. It's good information, because now you tried it and now you found something that you don't like, instead of, if you did find something that you did like, then it was also worth it in that regard. Yeah, it's exploration, not a waste of time. You're not behind, you're just on a different path than others, and we're all unique in circumstance and what we're born with, and we all start with, some have debuffs, massive debuffs, and in the start of childhood and shit. So it causes us to be difference and progress in so many different in fields. I feel like people often look at one thing and realize like, oh my God, they're so good at this, but they could be suffering in mental health. They could be suffering in that they don't have hobbies, you know. They could be very educated in school, but they don't, you know, they haven't had a girlfriend. They haven't had, they don't like hobbies. They haven't gone out. They didn't go to like Wonderland and, you know, all these wonderful things that they're missing out on. And yeah, so you gotta make sure that you are aware of those circumstances as well. You know, you realize that you may be good at, for example, someone could be really good at solving a Rubik's Cube and they see that and they're like, wow, this guy's so smart. In reality, you know, they're not doing well financially or they're not doing well, you know? Like there's so many things. And looking at one thing is not linear, you know? You can't look at someone's one perspective or one occupation and be like, if they work like this, then if they work at this job, then they're good. Like you can't do that. It's just not real. It's in fantasy land. To be able to understand someone is to create a profile of them. It's to create, you know, start to learn, and with experiences and different scenarios, you start to see how they really are. And I think that makes life beautiful. There's no final version of ourselves. We're all different on different levels. You know, we have a level where we have a certain version of ourselves when we're at the mall with our friends. We have a certain version of ourselves when we're speaking to our parents. We have a certain version of ourselves when we're speaking with our brothers, when we're at work, when we're, you know, when we're at school. We have so many different versions of ourselves that we can't know who we are in every scenario. You know, in someone's life, someone thinks I'm probably the worst person they've ever dealt with. In someone else's life, they think of me as the most wonderful, kind person. And then in another life, someone thinks of me as boring. Someone thinks of me as shy. Someone thinks of me as outgoing. You know, you can't really force yourself, and that's the reason why you can't be so angry on yourself, is because we're trying new things. We go through different experiences and we expose ourselves to so many different things. You can't be perfect all the time, and you can't be high in every single scenario in terms of status. You can't do that, you know? Give yourself permission to be an unfinished project. We can't just speed run life and try to fill out the slots as much as possible. We have so much of life to live, and we never know when things are gone. So it's best to enjoy it and not try to rush things. You know, sometimes in the process of trying to figure things out are actually the best moments, and then we end up. That's where nostalgia comes in. You know, those moments of trying to figure ourselves out and rushing things, and then when we lose ourselves in those scenarios and we look back on it, we actually think it's beautiful. But that beautiful moments are now as well. These boring parts of life that you're looking at right now, and you're looking back and you're thinking that was so much beautiful back then, it's not true. This part is also beautiful. Now I got all these sides solved with the bottom white. Now I just need to do this final top layer. We'll see how it goes. Every edge is aligned now, so I'm getting closer and closer. I'm excited. Yes! Yes! Oh my God, it's so satisfying when you have all the colors. Holy shit. See, sometimes patience and time will just give you something way more beautiful than, you know, rushing it. Just keep with it, you know. Know that it's okay to, you know, feel like you're wasting time sometime, but sometimes you'll feel like you'll have it figured out, and it'll feel a lot better if you just do it naturally instead of forcing it. But I hope you enjoyed it. There was like probably 30 minutes of footage me trying to like figure this out. But you know, I would not be able to do this on my own. But like, I just need to practice and keep doing it. But I hope I can like do this on my own. It would be pretty. It's cool to know that there's like a system to it, you know. But thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you enjoyed me watching myself do this. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.